Have you ever wished that you could walk up to that beautiful girl on the street, strike up a conversation and take her on a date? Younger me definitely did. I was a hopeless romantic and I was desperate for that kind of interaction. But every time that I found myself on the street, I'd see the beautiful girl, I'd get up in my head, I'd feel nervous, she'd walk by and I'd do nothing. And that was a lot of years ago now. And since then, I've approached over 1,000 girls and I've had multi-year relationships with girls where I'd met them and simply walked up to them on the street and said hi. And that's because the secret to being able to get this kind of relationship mastery is through the art of consistency. And this is where a lot of men fall down. They struggle because maybe they do that one time where they went up and said hi to a girl whilst they were feeling nervous, or they did it twice in a few week period, but they never really built up any consistency with it. And like any domain, if you only ever played tennis twice in your life, you're obviously still going to struggle with this. If you tried to do salsa twice and went there, it's not going to work out for you. So in this video, I'm going to show you the tools that I used and the ones that I use to help my clients from everything that I've learned to be able to get you that consistency without it being super challenging and feeling super lost. So the first thing that has to be acknowledged when you're trying to develop that level of skill in dating and approaching is understanding the game that you're in. I was talking with a client this week and he's such a smart dude, super smart. I think he does economics, like he's doing a master's in economics, really smart guy, understands numbers, all this kind of stuff. And we were discussing because he was frustrated that he'd been doing quite a few approaches recently and they kept having boyfriends. And he was like, this isn't right. Like I'm running the numbers in my head. They can't all have boyfriends. They've got to be lying to me. There's something that I'm doing wrong here. And I listened to him for a minute and then he asked me what I thought, and I thought he was wrong because his workings were missing one key feature. He was doing his calculations of how there was this wildly high number of girls that have boyfriends without taking into account he was already filtering his sample because it was all based off girls that he thought was attractive and wanted to approach. And in any given scenario, attractive girls just have more offers. They have more opportunities. They're way less likely to be single because for a girl, like the optimal position for a girl is to have a really high quality boyfriend. Like there's very few girls that are interested in the, oh, I'm just gonna sort of sleep about town and have multiple options. So this means that when you're going out approaching, you're speaking to girls, like the default position is that they have a boyfriend. It's not unusual. And this is what causes one of the major problems with consistency early on. Men go out there expecting it to be, oh, this will be fine, I'll easily talk to her and it'll be chill. But the normal position is that she has a boyfriend and that's okay. But they get disheartened thinking that, oh, I went and spoke to two, they both have boyfriends, I don't feel good, all that kind of thing. But that's just not realizing the situation that they're truly in. That we should be going with the expectation that, hey, I want to build a connection over there and it's going to be great. I'm sure, like, I feel good, confident in myself. But if I go over there and she has a boyfriend, like, that's super, super normal. And if you don't acknowledge this fact of the sense that there's a 50% chance that she just isn't going to be interested and she's unavailable anyway, then you'll always end up disheartened way too soon and it'll stop you building up that consistency because you'll lose confidence. It's perfectly okay to go out there, speak to 3 girls and it not work out. The rejection is part of the process. It is a feature, not a bug, to learning how to approach. So, number 2, and that is what I like to call the self-improvement trifecta, with the sense that learning to have targets and tracking is super helpful when it comes to getting out there. And the third one I'll mention in a minute. But having these 2 elements are probably some of the key features that really built in that consistency and upgraded my skill when it came to approaching, because the human brain just kind of needs a target. It needs something to be working towards, especially when I am struggling, because you need that motivation, you need that extra boost that comes from, okay, I've gone out. I like to say 5. I think that the best way to do this is to be able to speak to, say, like 5 people at any one time. All right.
Hi.
Hi. So I would always target 5 people to speak to, because I found that if I spoke to 5, it almost diminishes the previous issue where it's like, oh, if they have a boyfriend, if they aren't interested, that kind of thing. I found that if I speak to 5 people, one of them was usually quite interested. And that target kept me going. It allowed me, when I was out there, say I've suffered 2 rejections, it was what kept me moving. It's what let me stay out there rather than just running off home. And then tracking. I'm hyper nerdy, super nerdy. And I used to be a financial analyst, and I took across my Excel skills and spreadsheets into dating. So when I wanted to find a girlfriend, I actually tracked my approaches. I looked at what I was doing well, what I could work better on. And this was the thing that upgraded my skill more than anything else. I was there actually taking note of the things that were working for me and where I needed a tune-up. And because of that, I got better faster, which allowed me to have the consistency because I no longer sucked quite as much. And what that meant is I engaged with it more. We don't like doing stuff we're not very good at. So for you, starting to build just like a bit of a log. And the thing is, if you went up to her, there's always a pro. Like, you went up and spoke to her. So fundamentally, you did at least one thing right. You probably did more. And then, unless you married the girl, there's always something you could have maybe done a bit better. It could have been, oh, I went over there and like, the opener was quite good. I managed to stop her. I got her attention first before I started speaking to her. But then once we got into it, I started speaking really quickly and I was kind of throwing a lot at her. I did that really bad thing where it's what guys do that are kind of nervous, that they'll repeat back what she says to them. So they'll ask the girl, what are you doing? What do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm a student. And he'll go, oh, you're a student? She'll go, yeah, I do. Like English language, English language. And you can see the pattern repeats. So finding out what you're doing, pro-conning it, is essential to building consistency because it helps you get over those early humps of stupid mistakes and tune up your ability so you get better at it faster. Then the third one I mentioned before, the third part of any self-improvement trifecta, the reason that I'm calling it this is because it is how we apply to any skill we're trying to build. If it was anything else, you look in the self-improvement space, they'd be listing targets, they'd be getting you to sort of track how you're doing. And the third most common one is accountability. And if I'm honest, this is probably one of the main things that I offer to the guys that I work with. I'm there, like they love this side of it because yeah, I'm there, I'm able to help them, talk them through the mechanical steps of how we get out there, how we start doing those approaches. I'm showing them how they can present themselves better, talking through the best places to go. But often the things that they really love is the fact that I'm there for them and keeping them accountable every single day. If I check my phone, I've got messages from dudes saying, oh, I just got out there, I did 2 approaches today. I managed to speak to a girl in IKEA. I managed to speak to a girl at the train station, wherever it might be. And I get that every single day. And then at the end of the week, when we go jump on our call, we're pulling up their tracking and we're reviewing it together. And we have that level of accountability of what have they been doing. Because the human need to remain socially consistent is pretty high and kind of worth leveraging. So that's the third component of what I call the self-improvement trifecta for building up your consistency. Then the final tool that guys need to learn to build that consistency into approaching is leveraging lifestyle approaches and deliberate approaches. We need both of these, and how I define a lifestyle approach is kind of like any time you have an approach that is just part of your day-to-day lifestyle that you just bumped into her whilst, once again, that train example, that was real. That was a guy that was on the way to work and he'd got to the train station, coming out of the train station, he'd met a girl there. Or maybe it's out whilst you're walking your dog. Like, these are what I call lifestyle approaches. And I get it, when you're trying to build consistency, Sometimes that's what you need to keep things ticking over. I did plenty of these as well. I was walking into town and I'd see the girl crossing the bridge, I'd catch up, I'd speak to her. And these really help build in that skill of just getting the extra reps in. But then we also need what I call is deliberate approaches, because this is where you really master the craft. And once again, the better we get at this, the more likely you're going to be consistent with it. And what I define a deliberate approach as is identifying a key section of time in your week, just blocking it out and dedicating it purely to going out somewhere for the sole purpose of being able to approach girls. Like, I used to do this, especially now we're coming up to winter. It's even more important to leverage the importance of the weekends. I was speaking to a guy about this. He's in London and it's rainy all the time and stuff. And like, by the time that he gets out, it's like it's dark at night. So I'm like, dude, we need to make weekends be a real focus. And this is what I did. When I met my last girlfriend, it was one of these. It wasn't a lifestyle approach. Like, the girl that I'm dating today, I met her through deliberately going out there. As much as everyone wants to feel like, oh, I want the truly organic love story of we bump into each other at the supermarket. It's not what I did. I was going out and I went to the closest city. I went to the market square and I knew I was there purely just to meet people. So when I saw the beautiful girl walk out of the, it's like a thrift shop, you know, like charity shop, thrift shop, those kind of thing. She walked out of there. I went over and approached her. I went over and spoke to her. And this is where you get so much of your skill, because those 5 approaches that I spoke about as a target, they're in the deliberate approaches. It's going out and doing at least 5, because then you get the opportunity to get a bit better. That first approach, it's first pancake syndrome. Like, it's sometimes rusty. Like my first shot when I do some of these videos, it's not always the best. I take like 2 runs and then, well, hey, here we are with a massive 1 shot. But that's what it takes, being able to get a couple more than just 1, and that's what you get out of the deliberate practicing, the deliberate approaching of going out and doing those 5. And this is what boosts your skill more than any other style. And we need that. But I also appreciate we're busy and you can only maybe do that once a week. So that's why we need the lifestyle approaches as well. So if you want to develop that sense of consistency, to be the person that when I see that beautiful girl walking down the street, that I know I'm the man that can go speak to her. I know I'm not going to quiver and hide like younger me used to before he put himself out there. It takes these 3 steps, starting to understand that I'm going to go talk to her, even though I know the odds are against me, but I'm going to do it anyway, because for men, you only need to win once, okay? Like, I'm not here to be the guy, I'm sorry, it's not me to be the guy for you to get 100 lays under your belt. It's simply not. The reason that I put this channel together is so I can help guys that are looking to have like a real relationship and yeah, have some control over their dating. And that doesn't mean you need to marry the first girl you approach, but it means that the purpose of you doing this is because you're looking for someone to truly connect with. And when you're doing that, then you know it's only 1. It's 1 girl that you're looking for. 1 girl where you actually click, you connect, and it goes really well. And maybe that takes you getting 50 different numbers, like going on 10 different dates. But eventually you do find that 1, and it comes from understanding your odds, understanding that a bunch of them will have boyfriends. Then, secondly, adopting those strategies that have been widely used for everything, the self-improvement trifecta, to be able to get that consistency. And finally, applying them within the lifestyle, within the deliberate approaching, because this is the key factor to being able to get the lifestyle you want. And if you're down for that, that sounds like you, who you want to be. And now all you need to know is, where do I need to go? Where do I have to go to get these deliberate approaches where you can go out there the same way I did and meet the girl of your dreams, have that amazing relationship? Well, I recommend some very specific places, and there's some things that you can definitely do to ensure that you go to the right place. You don't fail. You don't end up unnecessarily harming your self-esteem by going somewhere that sucks. And for that, I have a video right here which details all the best spots that you can go to be able to find the girl that you're looking for. So check that out and start to enjoy the relationships you truly deserve.